24/7 Laredo Talk Show is an independent and original news channel dedicated to local topics relating to everyday issues that affect Laredo, Webb County, and surrounding areas. Any comments made by guests are not a reflection of the views and opinions of the 24/7 Laredo team. However, we intend to offer a community program with wide-ranging views and opinions that reflect our community's people. No abusive or obscene comments toward any class of people or persons will be tolerated. We believe that an informed community is the way to move Laredo and Webb County forward. 24/7 Laredo Talk Show is open to any candidate running for office or any person who strongly believes in any issue that helps our community stay informed. If you would like to advertise on the show, you can email us at bordertown2020@gmail.com.
Good morning, Laredo. Welcome to another episode of the 24/7 Laredo Talk Show. This is I'm your host, Jesus Garza. This is a free and original and independent news channel. Talk about issues affecting Laredo. We're very fortunate to have today Amber Hinojosa, who's actually a candidate for City Council District Number 8. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Thank you for joining us. There's so many candidates, and I'm really glad that you were able to make it because you're actually our only candidate from that area who's responded so far. So we're grateful for that. Amber, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, let me get started with my family. My family is from Laredo. My grandparents were Michael's Lock and Key Shop, so I grew up a few blocks away from here. They were very involved with the community, and they raised me. I started my life in sales, selling locks at their key shop when I was 3 to Border Patrol agents.
Michael?
Yes, that's my grandfather.
He was he always got me out of trouble all the time.
Yeah, everybody remembers him. And so he actually grew up in District 8. He was born into the Guadalupe colonias and eventually moved closer to Santa Maria. And his mother was one of the political activists back in the day with her two sisters. So there were 3 of them, and they were known as the Tres Adelitas. And they helped defeat Mayor Martin.
They were very well known back in they were very active up to the early 90s. Not that it matters nowadays, but that little piece of history that Laredo didn't know about. But
yeah, definitely. And that's where I always wondered, like, where did I get this like passion for politics and helping people? And I just felt so like I didn't belong in my family because nobody felt the same way. And then I learned that story about my great grandmother.
The Adelitas were known very well back in the Civil War in Mexico, who were always the ones that were helping out the revolutionaries back then, who put things, who provided the supplies and things like that, who ran the backup of all those groups. But these 3 ladies actually were very active in the political process from the 50s, 60s, all the way to the 80s, maybe the early 90s. I had an opportunity to meet them on the West Side. They actually lived in the West Side, and they were very active, and they were active all the way to their 80s. So kudos for them. They kept the democratic process going. Thanks to them.
And that's where I get it. It's in my blood and it's in my heart. And I knew I got it from somewhere. I just never knew where it came from. And so starting my campaign, I learned that from my family, and I'm excited to move it forward.
Right. Well, your district is pretty big. It's on the West Side. Could you tell us more or less where it's at?
Yes, District 8 starts at the river bend and it goes all the way up to Chicago Street and over Zacate Creek, just a little bit barely. And it's a pretty densely populated area.
Right. So we're talking up to Highway 35 or some areas past Highway 35.
Right over Highway 35, past Zacate Creek.
Right,
And it
right.
kind of just like goes
Yeah.
kind of zigzaggy. It just depends.
Now that has about three other or four other candidates, is that right?
We have four other candidates on the ballot and one write-in.
Now you also, when I had a chance to talk to you before we started the show, you said you're a CPA.
I'm not a CPA, I'm an accountant. I went after my CFP designation, which is Certified Financial Planner. And
So hard designation to get.
yes, it's a very hard designation. And there's only two men in Laredo, and my goal was to be the first female.
Or you might end up being because I have another friend of mine who's applying for it, and he tells me he's already tried twice. He hasn't been able to pass it, but it's a very good designation once you get it. You'll be helping a lot of people.
Yes, definitely. And there's also the fiduciary duty to always act in your client's best interest, and that's something I want to bring to City Council.
Definitely. Well, right now we have at least four lawyers on City Council. With four lawyers, you figure that we do have accountability, do we not? I mean, that seems logical, would it? But is that what's happening right now, in your view?
I don't think so. I don't think more lawyers makes anything better. If anything, I think it weasels their way through the law a little bit better for the benefit of themselves and not necessarily the benefit of the people. There are some good lawyers out there and on City Council, but I don't think that they're using the law to the advantage of the voters. They're using it for themselves.
Well, what quality then do you think, if it's not having a lawyer designation as a city councilman, what quality then do someone from the west side needs to have to be able to do a good job?
I think somebody that wants to be on City Council needs to, one, understand numbers and also understand people. At the end of the day, you're dealing with taxpayer money and you're working on budgets and trying to make the dollars stretch. And especially on like the west side where poverty is our biggest issue, you need somebody that's going to listen to the concerns of the people and act financially responsibly and provide government transparency.
Well, obviously you mentioned poverty is a big issue on the west side. One of the issues that keeps popping up continuously is this issue about the water bill, that every year for the last 2 years, it continues to go upward as part of a plan to pay off some water bonds that they took off, which we all agree that we needed to improve the water system, or we need to continue to keep improving it. However, should it be done on the backs of the poor people? Could there have not been a tier program where the senior citizens or certain people pay less than others? What are your thoughts about that?
I think that we need to find a solution where we can invest in the infrastructure and also, you know, take care of the water quality and it not necessarily affect people on their water bill, but maybe this is an investment that we can partner up with each district to do something that actually improves the quality of water without having to raise water rates.
What were your thoughts when we had to boil water recently, about 6 months ago?
I happened to have just left for out of town, but I was honestly afraid for my family that was at home, even living on the north side. My uncle's diabetic and he doesn't cook for himself, but he drinks a lot of water and he goes out to restaurants. And I was worried about him, you know. And then just people buying all the bottled water at the same time because they were in a panic.
Yes, it was.
And so when we got back, thank God, from our vacation, the water boil notice was over, but we're still seeing water boil notices coming up in our district. We still have a big issue with yellow, murky water for people that live on the other side of the tracks. And I think that if we're paying the same water rates, we should have the same quality of water.
That should be the case, but unfortunately, sometimes it's not that way. But I'm hopeful that that could change. Now, you've had an opportunity now already, what, about a month or so, 2 months already on the campaign trail. Mm-hmm. Are there any particular issues that you're seeing by your constituency or by these people from the West Side?
So one of the things that I knew it was going to be tough organizing in a pandemic, and so the first thing that came to my mind is like I want people to be able to reach me and call me. And so me being the businesswoman that I am, I put my number on my campaign signs, and I put it in the paper, so that I could hear from the people. I know what I think the West Side needs, but I want to hear what they want and they need. And so what I've heard people calling and texting me their issues is that they have a lot of like little things that we probably didn't think of that have gone unnoticed and unheard for so long, going back to the prior two council representatives.
Well, then what do you think are those ideas or proposals? Because I don't live on the West Side, but I can tell you downtown needs infusion of economic development right there to begin with. I can tell you how sidewalks continue being an issue on the West Side. I would imagine there's still other issues concerning the railroad, and there's also police officers, police security out there issues as well. So, what is it you're proposing, did you recommend for the West Side?
So one of the biggest issues that I'm hearing is from business owners is the homeless crisis that we have. They're getting broken into their properties, they're getting things stolen, and it also doesn't look good to have them just all over city property. And so I think that we do definitely need to increase security, but also find real solutions to deal with this issue that we have. At the same time, we have a beautiful downtown with so much history and culture. That is where our city was founded, yet we don't appreciate it at all. It's been neglected, and there's so much opportunity to make it better. And that includes fixing the roads, fixing the sidewalks, making sure there's not obstructions on the sidewalks, especially because we have so many elderly. And another thing that I really want to improve is our bus system. Santa Maria, where my opponent lives and works, has the most used bus stops, yet they have zero shade. And the elderly that's how the elderly gets around to go buy their groceries. There's nowhere for them to walk to get the goods that they need. And so one of my proposals is to make sure that we have shade on every single bus stop, that there are no obstructions to get on sidewalks, and improve quality of life for everyone.
That's something that the city should be able to do because they control the metro. They can certainly do it if they want to do it. Now, one of the other issues that I wanted to ask you was the issue of the discretionary funding. Do you feel that amount is being used properly by your president, city councilman?
I don't think so at all. I think one thing is that it's a gigantic amount, and I know that the ethics committee has reviewed it and said, even compared to other cities, that's a lot of money. But I think that the funds are being used as like for pet projects targeted for political support, and they shouldn't be. Those funds should be used based on data to support redevelopment and infrastructure and be supported by community input.
Makes sense. In fact, that's one of those issues that doesn't seem to go away, and it continues to be an issue for abuse, or potential abuse. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to take a short break at this time, and we'll be right back with Amber Hinojosa, who's a candidate for City Council District Number 8. welcome back to the show. We have Amber Hinojosa, who's candidate for City Council District Number 8. Welcome back to the show, Amber. Tell me a little bit. You talked earlier about several issues that are important to you, and I still wanted to get one or two other ones that concerns the City Council as a whole. One is this thing about this retirement eligibility for City Councilmen that are already there. Do you think that was a wise move to provide more an indirect adjustment in their pay by providing retirement benefits for them?
I don't think that it's a good move for the city. It might be for the council members. At the end of the day, the city has a 2-to-1 ratio for retirement benefits. So the council member may only be putting into their retirement account maybe $2,000 a year, and then the city matches another $4,000 and giving them $6,000, and so that's twice as much. Yeah, they're getting an increase from taxpayer money for a part-time job.
Yeah, and it's just even most jobs don't provide retirement for part-time jobs to begin with, and most, from what I see, most part-time jobs, public officials do not get a retirement. So I'm hopeful that you could revisit that issue later on. On another matter, and that's dealing with District Councilman Bali, who I think who made the proposal to allow a group of people to put some signage on top of some streets in downtown, funding, do not fund the wall or unfund the wall in front of the federal courthouse. What has been your response from people in the community concerning that type of move?
I've heard a lot of good and bad things from constituents. I think that this might have been a better issue for the voters to decide on the ballot, other than, us debating it back and forth. But I think it's a good message to resist the wall. I don't think it sends the right message to our business partners from Mexico, especially when our families live in Mexico and we're just divided by the river. And so I think it is a strong movement and an important message, but issues like this need to go to the taxpayers, because they're going to have other things that they want to vote on to write on our streets and sidewalks.
My view is that they should have just created an ordinance and say this is going to be the free speech blocks of the city of Laredo. And you know what? You're going to have to come up with the money and pay for it and have the money to erase your message. And we're going to have diverse opinions. And then, of course, have a town hall and have a chance for the public to say which area of town should have those types of signs. Because to me, as far as I'm concerned, the streets should be cleared because it is a traffic situation, and that always comes on top of a First Amendment. And that should never probably have been done like that. But I would have supported the message in some other fashion because I also believe that we should not be funding the wall. However, there's different ways of presenting that message forward. And I don't think putting it on a street would have been the better one. But that's hopefully that the future city council, you'll be able to look at that. And now that we're talking about downtown, there were literally tens of or hundreds of businesses that were lost through the pandemic. What do you suggest we should do about that?
I think the city of Laredo needs to support small businesses more. They are the heart of our community. And being a business owner in downtown myself, I see District 8 as the land of opportunity. That's where our old businesses started and where our city's history was founded. And we need to respect that and also invest for redevelopment and give people the opportunity to be entrepreneurs, but also, support them in innovation and support their business to revive our downtown.
I don't know how we're going to do it because this new business plan that they created, business grants, is really a disappointment. I really thought they were going to be doing a business grant where first come, first serve, people who submit their paperwork will be properly funded. But they should have created maybe something for downtown even, because there were a lot of businesses that were lost downtown. and we need to have a vibrant downtown. So I wish you luck there. Now, finally, the issue of the coronavirus in Laredo. What are your thoughts about it? I mean, what are your thoughts about people wearing masks or not wearing masks?
I was actually asked this question earlier this week about if I supported a mask mandate. And I think that right now, until we have a vaccine that works, this is going to be the only way to keep our community off ventilators and our hospitals overpopulated. I think that for now, we do need to be wearing masks. We do need to continue to take precautions. And we also need to help businesses get back to work.
Right. We should be wearing a mask. It doesn't cost us anything to be wearing a mask. It's really for ourselves and for our families to protect ourselves. So it's a very small inconvenience to pay for the safety of our families and to allow the business to continue, because we definitely need to get our business going. Finally, how do you plan to get the vote out during the pandemic? Amber?
Well, one of the things that I'm doing is I'm putting my number on all my campaign signs on my website. And that's the same number that you can contact me to discuss whatever issues are important to you in District 8. But it's also the number to call if you need a ride, or if you have questions about a mail-in ballot, or to check if you're registered to vote, and how to get to the polls. I was very impressed during the primary when we went to go vote at how sanitary everything was. I felt like I was walking into like a hospital, because everyone was like in full hospital wear and gloves. And so I hope that people see that the elections office is working hard to make sure that voting is at safety for everyone.
Definitely, and I would encourage them, if you can vote by mail, for those of you who qualify, definitely should do that. Finally, where can we find you, Amber? If somebody wants to talk to you, volunteer, make a donation, or wants to clear the air about a particular issue, where can they find you?
So the best way to contact me is you can call my campaign line. I'm the one that answers it. The number is 956-977-8888. My website is adelanteconamber.com. And you can also find me, Amber Hinojosa, for District 8 on Facebook. And I'm answering all messages that come in. And I also have a donation link so that you can make a donation with a card. You don't have to mail a check anymore.
Oh, good. So you pretty much are set up. Well, I just hope people do follow through with it, because it's very well, it could be dangerous for some people to go out there and campaign. It is tough for candidates, so we certainly need to make it as safe as possible. Now, again, you're one of maybe 5 candidates running. What would be the closing argument for you to say, I'm the better candidate?
Well, first of all, I'm a resident of District 8 and a business owner. So I know my neighborhood. I'm also a tax and financial professional. And I'm a numbers girl. I'm going to follow the numbers and provide the best customer service, government transparency, and financial responsibility when it comes down to taxpayer money. And I'm here to listen, and I'm ready to get to work.
Good. Well, then we look forward to seeing you in the future here, Amber. Thank you for being here. I remind the public again, election set for November the 3rd. Early voting begins on October 13th. The last day to register to vote is September the 12th. And if you have any questions, feel free to contact the candidate. She's giving you the information. I'm sure she'll be available for you in the future. Again, thank you again, Amber, for making it. I remind the public to just keep watching the show, because there are other interviews, and hopefully we're going to see you again, Amber, I hope. Right?
Thank you so much for having me.
On behalf of 24/7 Laredo, I'm Jesus Chugarza. You all continue to have a safe and joyful day today.